child genius joins Mensa. Welcome to Mark and Pete. Here's a thought.
Join the back of the IQ. If your mind has a razor-sharp IQ, you could be a member of Mensa. But if it's blunt and you haven't a clue, your head might simply be denser.
I'm afraid so.
Well, folks, isn't it true that we all try and measure our genius against those who are members of Mensa? Now, a boy who taught himself to read as a toddler has been accepted in the UK's youngest member of Mensa. Now, this is a chap, a 4-year-old Teddy from Portishead in Somerset, can count to 100 in 6 non-native languages, including Mandarin. Now, Mensa accepts people who score at the 98th percentile or higher on an approved intelligence test. Clergyman Pete, I ask you, how do you rank? But more importantly, what do we do with the prodigy child?
Yes, it's interesting. Is this idea of IQ? I used to have to do IQ tests at school, and when I applied for the clergy, there was a form of IQ test in order to get into vicar school, and I do reasonably well. I'm sort of what used to be, average for going to university. So it has to be over 120, I suppose. But if you get into Mensa, it's higher than that. I don't know what the 95th percentile is, but I think it's higher than that. So it's the 95th percentile, isn't it?
98.
98.
You've already failed the test.
I've already failed the test. 98th percentile. Well, I don't know what that is in terms of the of your IQ score, but a certain level shows you're good at a certain sort of thinking. So
yes.
What does it mean? Is it a good idea? Well, I think that it's a bit of fun, isn't it, for him to join a particular club for intelligent people? I don't think that it would do any harm, and they can say, oh, look, you're in the paper. The problem will be if he gets treated differently,
yes,
like he's some sort of genius rather than being a child.
This is, I think, the key to it. So Teddy's mother, Beth Hobbs, said that he learned to read at just 26 months old by watching children's television and copying the sounds of letters. Okay, that makes sense, and many children do this. I think clearly he has something that many children of a similar age don't. But here's the point. When you differentiate yourself, or when you are deemed to be different, is this going to be a challenge for him in later life? Maybe not. Maybe he will go on to be a great scientist or mathematician, or maybe something else, but somebody who will simply have a very good career and get on with everyone. But sometimes, as to your point, is it could actually alienate people. Can he relate to all the other children at the similar age in his classroom? If he can't, what does that mean? So what do we do then when we've got these children who've got something about them? It's reasonable to say that any nation wants to nurture its talent, but how do you do that effectively? Because at the same time, you don't want to give him too much attention to the point where other children feel left out.
No, you don't. But on the other hand, if he's always amongst people who are less intelligent than him, that can, again, give him a feeling of superiority. I mean, what you really need is some sort of streaming in education or setting such that he gets to be challenged by other people who are as intelligent as him. And I think that will be important going forward. The fetishization of treating everyone equally gets transformed into making everyone equal when people obviously have different intelligence. And so what you get in education, instead of just giving everyone an equal chance, you say, no, we have to treat everyone the same. And that can't be the case. Someone who is very strong needs to be able to be challenged by lifting heavier weights. Someone who is very intelligent needs more difficult problems to solve. It's just as simple as that. And I think that the simple way of doing that within education, as listeners may know, I was a teacher in secondary school for a part of my career, small part, but a part of my career, and while I was doing that, we used to have uh, um, this idea of differentiation within the classroom. So you gave people different work in the same class.
Yes.
Very, very difficult to manage. What you really need to do is to have some form of streaming. So there's different intelligence levels in different classes. Is just by far the best way to do it. Or if you got enough staff and enough time on the curriculum to allow this, then you allow for setting. So even in individual subjects, they're put at different levels. That's the difference between setting and streaming. Streaming is you just in the same class for all subjects. But something like that needs to be done more often. We need to change our schooling system. And it used to be more like this that I'm suggesting. So it's certainly possible. So let's go back to it, have a stronger emphasis on that. It varies still from school to school, but he does need something like that. It's possible if he really is as intelligent as the initial findings show. But intelligence develops over the years, so we don't know. He may stop developing or something like that. But
exactly.
If he remains at that level, maybe he does need to go to a special school. But it'd be far better for him to simply be in a class. A separate class in a local school, so he gets to knock about with all the normal people.
Well, indeed, normal. What is normal nowadays? But the point is, as you quite rightly say, he needs to learn social skills, and
yes,
that's certainly something that he definitely needs while he's young. But here's the thing, isn't it? Because he may be academically very good at this point in time, but as you said, other children could mature and certainly accelerate later on in life. They might be much better, whether they're 12 or 13 going into their O-levels and then eventually A-levels and degree. It's not a measure of success, but the one thing I think you mentioned, which I'm really keen to sort of explore, and this is from a business perspective, you mentioned about picking and streamlining individuals to hone in on something that they do well and better than others. And I think that that's really important, because in business, often what you're looking for is people with specific skills that can actually differentiate, give you a competitive differentiator. And you can say for sure that there are many people in the world now, we're in a sort of a global world where things are much easier, where you can, employ talent from all sorts of parts of the world. You don't have to necessarily be in the same physical office anymore. But the point here is finding the right talent and nurturing that talent is not an easy process. And I do think that education, to your point, sometimes stifles that element of prodigy child, somebody who is very good at what they do. Now, there's one word that we haven't used yet, and that's the word genius.
Yes.
Now, the thing here is that it's difficult to say in Teddy's case, because, of course, he may go on to truly great things and innovate in so many different ways. We hope he does. But here's the point. At what point in somebody's life do you take somebody and nurture them above what everybody else can do? Because there are individuals, and we've seen this, who are individuals who are very good at mathematics or good at science or even languages, and no matter how much training, some other children would never attain that same level. So to me, I think there needs to be something where you don't have to just simply rely on the elite because they are maybe come from an affluent background. I think it's important that whatever their background, they're given the right opportunity. And this is where I think, are we, so if we take just Britain alone, set up to identify those who are exceptional, those 1%, 2%, 3%. And we know that typically the system that we've got at the moment is that they would go to an elite college or an elite university, Cambridge or Oxford or somewhere like that. So I'm just really sort of trying to grasp, what would your solution be to take somebody who is absolutely exceptional at what they do?
Well, the thing is, I think you do need to be able to not have a problem with testing. I think testing is a good idea at different levels. So that you can detect whether people have special abilities, and that you need to be able to offer them a challenging environment. If what we're talking about is intelligence, they need to have that opportunity. But I don't think it's as simple saying, well, Oxford and Cambridge historically have been great universities. I'm not so sure about some of the standards there anymore, but yeah, so at least in theory, that's a good idea in other universities. But you can be more specific to providing extra problem solving sessions and that sort of thing for people even at a younger age when they show greater intelligence. I mean, one of the aspects of great intelligence that shows itself is the ability to solve problems, and you'll get bored if things are too easy. So it needs to be set at a higher level. However, you do need to be wary of this, thinking, oh, we'll just set them extra work. Because they also need the rest of their life. And just a final point, just because someone's very intelligent doesn't mean they have to use it. And the same way, it's just because someone's very strong, they may be very strong or can run very fast, but they do a job as an accountant. They don't use that.
Indeed.
In the same way, they could be very intelligent, but do a job as an accountant. It's not necessary that you have to use it necessarily, but it would be great if you gave them the opportunity. And the way to do that is to be able to spot it and then offer them that opportunity and test them so that we see their level and also allow them to enjoy their education more. Because when you're challenged but not above what you can do, then it's enjoyable. My experience from teaching is that when people are challenged beyond what they can do in terms of thinking, it's almost like it's physical pain. I mean, I think we've all experienced ourselves. When you just can't see something, I just don't get it. It can just really hurt. And if things are set just that too difficult for you, it can be bad. But it can be just as bad in a different way, but just as bad to set things too easy.
Well, indeed. Now, what's interesting is that his parents have said that they want him to have a rounded childhood, meaning, as they say, he's starting to figure out that his friends can't read yet, and he doesn't know why, but it's very important for us to keep him grounded, said his mother. Now, she went on to say that if he can do these things, then fine, but he sees it like, yes, I can read, but my friend can run faster than me. Interesting. So we've all got our own individual talents. And so that's the point here is. But here's the point as well as I close out. So, Teddy, obviously we would love to hear from you. But there's one thing, Teddy, that you ought to know. You might be able to read Mandarin, but so too can Clergyman Pete speak Mandarin.
I can speak Mandarin. I can't read it.
But if you could read it, that would be great. So if you'd like to contact us, Teddy, to educate Clergyman Pete, maybe the two of you could get on very well.
However, I could count to 100. You did say you could have in Mandarin, but it might take a bit of time. But that's it for now from Mark and Pete. Remember to let us know what you think. I mean, what is it about these young people with great intelligence? They don't seem to. We don't see them achieving great things, or do we? Do they just not get reported on? Let us know in the comments. You just need to go to markandpete.com. Make sure you're subscribed. There you can comment on this and every episode, like some people do. Just go ahead. See if we don't read every comment of yours. But for now, it's bye for now. Catch you next time.